Happy Sunday. Today is February 15th, 2026. Not looking to be here for a long time. You might hear my kids in the background. They're upstairs. So, let's get right into it. All right. Looking at SPY, really, if you're following my video, if you follow anyone, really, that's, kind of looking at the market. Really, like this has been the pure chop, for a while now on the indices. It's just not really constructive in terms of like what's been going on. Yeah, we're grinding higher is kind of like the better thought of it, right? But it just hasn't been anything that's withstained a bigger move. Like if you look at the weekly chart, if I go from here, right, one of the sayings is out there, are we bottom left, upper right? Yes, right. From this perspective, if I look at it from here, right, bottom left, upper right of my corner or of my screen. But if you go a little bit deeper dive in, really like where we at right now in terms of price action is just sideways. Nothing has really occurred here since pretty much November. And if you kind of go back to like the daily, sorry, if you go back here to the daily, price showed out on QQQ, but you look at here on the daily, there's not really a strong trend, in terms of what we got on from a perspective of moving averages. So like right now, like when I look at QQQ, when I look at SPY, not really too concerned with the 9 and the 20 right now because it hasn't really respected it, since it's been chopping. I think it's more important to kind of pay attention to higher highs and higher lows or lower lows and lower highs. Right now, we still have some sort of a structure, base here, kind of still forming. I would say, higher lows, right? There's still a chance that we start to breach some of this and start to violate some of that, and get down to 650 as well as the 200. That's where you start to like really pay attention or maybe flip more bearish. But right now, direction is still somewhat bullish. It's just kind of a very peculiar situation that we're in, right? You kind of see this strong trend up, how it's holding the moving averages, might undercut it a little bit, right? But for the most part, holding it. And then it just got choppy as shit, right? You can see that with the moving averages, how they're crossing over. So when you look at that on SPY, you kind of see some of the relative strength and stuff that we don't typically trade. Like a lot of traders I know, they're mostly focusing on like tech stocks, and then it's just the delta, or should I say the alpha is really not there to the upside in some of these these tech stocks. If you're trying to find a bounce trade, mean reversion trade, yeah, sure, but you're kind of going against the trend when you look at those particular stocks. Really quick, let's go look at QQQ. QQQ, we talked about QQQ for a while now, kind of this divergence that played out back here, right, where it's doing this sequence of lower lows and lower highs, while SPY and IWM was actually pressing higher, and then they kind of gave you a fake out, right? So while we were doing this right here, right, going lower, right, kind of setting up like this VCP or whatever people like to call. I don't really look at a VCP pattern, but we kind of faked out, pressed back into these previous close area from these previous all-time highs, and literally just rolled it over. And now I'm kind of sticking below the 50-day moving average. But again, I think what's more important here is kind of thinking about the market structure of this and not really like where we're at on moving averages. However, you do have a crossover from the 9 and the 20, and they both are kind of stacked right now with the 50 over top, and now you have the 20 and the 9 underneath it. You kind of see the rejection here at the 20. It kind of it is kind of technically proven itself, that the downtrend is still intact. Pretty much from this sequence from these all-time highs, or the press into these previous all-time highs. But again, you look here, on QQQ on this run up since liberation. For the most part, we've held the 9 and the 20, right? You can see the parallel how they never really crossed over. And once we kind of got that crossover, that's where you got your choppy period. And, pretty much back here since October. Some of those are some of that's when a lot of stocks kind of rolled over. Yeah, some pressed higher, but a lot didn't, right? OKLO kind of pressed until October, fell over. RKLB is one of the ones that actually went higher. All right, right, but it did have a almost a 50% maybe correction. Interesting area is that right now, kind of holding the 100-day moving average. Probably best to kind of go back and back test and see how it has reacted against the 100-day moving average. I have not done that, but this is a pretty strong stock. Even from a weekly basis, it still has a sequence of higher highs and higher lows, and this could just be potentially a nice little pullback here. To probably look to get involved. If we can get back above 75 or 76, 70. See if you can get like a nice little entry here. But right now I don't know if the momentum is really going to carry it. Looking at some of their financials, just really quickly on their financials. I mean, from a net income, I mean, they're not. I mean, they're getting close. I guess you can say to showing some alpha here in terms of positive net income. But they're still not there yet. Let's see. Yeah, they're still not there yet. So like, again, the market is definitely forward looking. But when I look at the financials on this, it's not. I'm just not sold that RKLB is like the next great top 10, top 20 stock in the market. Just looking at their financials, technically it still looks good. It's just in an area where below the moving averages. I'd rather get involved and buy it higher. Kind of confirming buyers than trying to buy the weakness. So yeah, that's kind of like really what I wanted to talk about. I mentioned like from October, you kind of see this here on like ASTS, right, from that October crazy move down. Did go on to make new all time highs, right, but another crazy pullback. There's several basket of stocks. I would say several basket of stocks, but there's some stocks that look like that. Really like this AI, infrastructure. Like this APLD has been a fucking headache. I tried to trade this several times. Um, and it might move again if the market turns around because honestly, like if you look at this stock, it does have relative strength. The RS rating is sitting here at 99. And in terms of what you got in the market, right? QQQ below its 50, SPY below its 50. This stock is not. It's not below its 50-day moving average. It's actually holding above its. It's holding the 9 and the 20. Right. I think you still want to just keep an eye on this. This thing does have a 10% ATR, so it can move. Right. $3.7 a day. 100 shares. Could potentially net you $377 if it moves its ATR. And again, the relative strength is here, and it has held up. So the market turns around. I think you do have to keep an eye on this because it does move, and I think a lot of traders are still watching it. BE was another one that kind of showing some relative strength as well, sitting here with a 99 rating. Not the best look here. The volume isn't too crazy. This stock has made such a massive move. Like we go here and we look at the monthly. Like that's just a crazy move from $26. It's hard for me to really want to get involved with this. All right, up 400%. So let me go look at before I even say that. Let me go look at APLD. See how that's look. It's just it's similar, but I don't think it's up 400%. But the BE. It's a strong stock. Overall, really still a really strong stock, but this I don't know. This could potentially, let's see how this plays out. If these moving averages start to cross over, you can probably get a reject into there. But I don't really see anything. Definitely after this sell bar here, I don't really like I don't like that sell candle here. Pretty much like a bearish engulfing candle. Swallowing the previous candles opening and close. Just not a good look, really. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's the market right now. Not a lot of great setup. So you just go take a quick look at some of the sectors real fast, like IGV. Can this catch a bounce? Yeah, it's a great chance it could do some sort of mean reversion, right? It's all the way at the bottom is at the bottom or towards the bottom of the bottom towards the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, right? So you do have that look there. I'm pretty sure the RSI is probably oversold. I know a lot of people are kind of looking for like some mean reversion here. Could that happen? This could probably set up a some sort of a double bottom look it has here at $80. You got a $2 risk. If you want to take a stab, I wouldn't be objective to that. I mean, it's an ETF. Like how fucking low? I mean, how much more does this have to go down before it gets some sort of some type of you know a leg higher, before it potentially rolls over again. But not really something I'm interested in and playing. So I mean, you got that look on there. But the interesting thing, like you look at KRE, like KRE looks good. KRE regional banks look good. So if I go like, do I have any regional banks on my stock list? So like this probably looks good here. This is Western Alliance. It doesn't look the best. I probably need to go to. Let me go back to KRE real fast. Let's see what are some of the big stocks or the most heavily weighted stocks in this ETF, and see if we can find some relative strength here. All right, that might take a little while to open up. While that's working on, but yeah, I mean, to see KRE look like that, and then you go over here to XLF, and it looks like this. It's like, what the fuck? It's very interesting to kind of see this, like, like what's holding up KRE to kind of be outperforming right now, and but you have that look like the way it does. MMT, yeah, I mean, a bunch of small shit, a lot of stuff that I don't really trust. Probably I'm trying to see here. Is there anything on here I would probably trade or have traded? The only one I have traded before was Western Alliance, right here, WL. Yeah, not a big fan of trying to trade these. Let me go look at MTB. I'm kind of familiar with that stock a little bit. Let's see how this looks real fast. So, I mean, that's where some of the strength is at. I mean, it is pulling back into the EMA 20, right? You could get a good hold here. Has a 2.5% ATR, $4, $5, 8 ATR, but it's a $200 stock, right? And $5, like, do I really want to try to play this on a $228 stock, and it only moves $5 when I have APLD that moves $3.50, but it's only $35. I mean, you just when you look at it from that perspective, it changes your thoughts on, like, do I really want to be active in playing in this particular sector? But I mean, that's really like what's strong right now. You have industrials that look really well. XLP that looks really well. Materials, home builders look pretty well. The one that I think I wanted to keep an eye on is this PHM. This is a pretty interesting stock, but it needs a pullback. I'm not really going to try to chase this higher, but if it could do something like for me, like if it could do something like this, kind of just pull back. All right, let these moving averages catch up. You kind of catch it off the moving average. You can kind of probably get involved in this, but just be mindful that with the whipsaw that you see in the market, man, it's almost like, man, you definitely have to widen your stops, or give it some room, lessen your position size, right? If you're trying to get actively, into some of these stocks from a swing trader perspective. For me, I like the day trade, so the way I would try to trade it would definitely be like, looking at it first. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to get position and see if I can get some money out of it. Basing off of the daily look, and if I can, could potentially turn into a swing trade, or if I have some cushion. That's how I like to look at it. But yeah, really a strong sector here. But yeah, man, that's really about it. I don't have a lot on my radar. Someone did bring up this arm to me. I think it looks interesting here. This is a nice looking pattern. The only problem I have with it is below the 200-day moving average, right? So, trying to play this below the 200-day moving average, I'm not sure if I really want to get involved with it, but it does present a tight risk. But I would love to see if I can catch it more near the 9 or the 50 or the 200 here, because you do have like this little crossover, and it is kind of like what we call is a wedge pop, right? Pops through the EMA 9 and the 20 and kind of pulls back, and it's kind of flagging back after the crossover. So it does have that look, and I can say a similar look to that. And I asked somebody about this, like, man, do these wedge pops, does it only pertain to stocks that are above the 200? And they said yes, but here's an opportunity here on this this Chipotle that was beaten down, right? Got a wedge pop between the 9 and the 20. You got a nice pullback here after the crossover, a hole right here at the 20. This did proceed to go higher. So I'm kind of looking at that stock from that perspective. That maybe that's what we're getting here. Right, nice little wedge pop, and you can see the volume here right after earnings. It has a nice little look to it. So I don't like the 200, but it is flattening out. It's not like just straight curling down. But it's one of those things, man. I don't want to buy the breakout. I just don't think this is the type of trade you want to buy the breakout. I think you want to buy the pullback. Just because it's not a really it's not a leader in terms of RS rating. It's not something that's been a leader in the market. So for me, I'd rather look for the pullback than trying to chase it higher. Really, I mean that's really about it. And I mentioned CSIQ. I was looking at this. No, again, this is why I say you don't want to buy the breakout. Probably look for a pullback, but it's really weird because I look at tan, which is the solar, and it looks pretty well, but the basket, the stocks that it's actually like in here, like FSLR, there's just not really a lot of good stocks that are trading above their moving averages, right? So FSLR is typically a good one. I tried to play EMPH. I got stopped out on this. Now this could be a potential hold here, but I just don't like the violent pullback it had into the 20. I wanted to be a little more orderly here. So you look at that. You look at what's in that basket, and really it's just not that great of a look. I know people have been trying to play this run. It's just basing. It's just basing, and I think it need a catalyst to take it above 22, and that might come from earnings coming up, right? So, and just something to keep on watch, really. I think I'm actually going to tag that to my green chart. Kind of keep that on watch. So, yeah. This CrowdStrike. This is interesting here. I talked about this before. Kind of like this little head and shoulders play, how it looked. No, it has broken down. And I'm wondering, like, do I really want to play this EMA 20 reject, or it hasn't even rejected? Do I really want to play that here, or do I want to look for a bigger move? Right? 'Cause I mean, from its highs, it's down, almost 30%. Like, do I want to try to continue to short a stock that's already down 30%? I think I'm just gonna watch it and observe it. Or if we can kind of get a push back into this area, really, I'm probably gonna take this off. If we can get a push back into like maybe the 50 or the 200, I think that makes more sense for me. Back into this little base that I had here, I think that's where I want to see if we get any sort of rejection or if there's any weakness here. Like up in here is kind of like the area I'd rather be interested in rather than here. But if shit turns, man, and it's starting to do what I think it's going to do, I don't mind taking that stab here because it does present, a relatively, a low risk entry. But it hasn't rejected on the daily. So like what I would do is I would go here to the hourly. When I have up right now are the daily moving averages. So this is his first touch right here. You got a red candle to hold. If we kind of open up on Tuesday below here, below 427, and we start to, I might grab this at the open and give it a $3 stop. Give it up to here. I think that's not a bad look looking at it from the hour chart here. I think you could potentially do that again. I'll be in with shares, so it's much different if people are playing short dated calls or anything. But that's a $4 risk really, and even back down to the EMA 9 is almost a 2-to-1 risk to reward. So if I buy 50 shares, I mean how much am I really risking here? They captured $9. So something I'm thinking about, something I'm looking at. But if we continue to push higher, I think you kind of look back up in here to the 200 and to the 50 day. I think that's the better look, honestly. But if you want to kind of look for a quick little cash flow trade, maybe up in here somewhere. Because like another reason I say that, like we look at Hack, this is probably the largest assets under management. In terms of like a cyber basket. This is the best one I could find. And right now, don't see the 200 on here, so let me put it up here. If you look at it, this is below the 200, right? This is below the 200, it's below the 50, right? So, I mean, if you see any weakness in this basket here, definitely look at, CrowdStrike. Me personally, I'll probably be looking at CrowdStrike if I can get it short. Again, I don't want to chase it. I don't want to chase it lower. I want to short the pops, and that kind of presents a nice opportunity. Really, just the sector again doesn't look too good, right? It's not a sexy sector right now. Not a lot of stocks that are really performing really well here. Um, no relative strength in cyber right now, so you got to keep that in mind. There's no relative strength here. Yeah, none at all. Let's go check out P. I think no, this is Palo Alto, right? They all got that same look. I don't know why I got RBRK. I think they do cyber as well. I think I ended up throwing them in here because they are similar to cyber. Let's take a look real fast. Um, yeah, backup recovery, ransomware. Yeah, definitely no cyber play as well. Right. So yeah, I mean, only one that's probably holding up is this U secure. The only one that's holding it's 200 right now. Just yeah, not a great look on this sector. So yeah, I think you can look there as a potential short, even into like the 450, 460, or besides it's gonna kind of roll over next week, you might get a nice little cash flow trade. But bigger picture, 450, 460, I think I kind of agree with. Outside of that, I mean, again, industrials really kind of leading the way. Materials really leading the way. So definitely look there. I don't really have a lot of stocks that I've traded in the past in those particular sectors. So um, yeah, I'll leave it there. This looked good for a second. This is this Alcoa, right? This is a minerals XLB. Um, I don't know. Maybe another inside day. Then a blast through here. Kind of get like a little double inside day. No, below the EMA 20. Just I don't know. Let's see the weekly. Yeah, weekly. I mean, it just doesn't look too bad. I mean, the weekly doesn't look bad. Previously beaten down stock was $98. Um, kind of has put it in a base. Right, you kind of see the base between 20, low 20s, high 40s. Right now, I'm flagging out. Again, we talk about um, no, no. I don't really see a wedge pop here. You didn't really get a wedge pop here. Um, but it is starting to flag out here. I might need another week or two, but I think you might want to keep that on the list. Definitely, if the relative strength is going to stay in these sectors, right? If software is dead, tech is kind of like dead. If money's like still rotating out of, um, and rotating into like hard assets, real assets, then yeah, you definitely want to keep an eye on those. But what is it? LAR probably another one. Mm, Sitting here at the 50, hold the 50 before, undercut at the 50. Yeah, I mean that's really it, folks. I mean, again, it's a nasty market. It's a nasty market here. Not the cleanest market. Really. Mm, yeah, there's really not much that's bullish on my watch list. Like, do I want to trade Victoria's Secrets, right? Like, but this doesn't look too bad. That's the crazy part. Like, but am I about to sit here and trade fucking Victoria's Secrets? Now it has a 5% ATR, moves about $3. I mean, damn, just fuck. Doesn't look too bad, folks. I'll tell you that. Doesn't look too bad. Damn, I'm trading thongs. But yeah, man, that's about all I got. Again, it's a very very peculiar type of market right now. I just gotta let the volatility, let the whatever type of seasonality correction people want to call this play out. And look for what held up really well during this period because those will probably be the stocks that continue to go higher. So, all right, peace. God bless.